It's just religion. It's just religion.
In 1859, Charles Darwin published his book On the Origin of Species. In it, he explained how life came to be seen in all the variety with which it is today, and how life arose in the first place. Darwin's theory of evolution posits that creatures survive that are best suited to their environment. Those that are best suited to their environment get to live, get to survive, get to reproduce, and pass on their genes to future generations who will, in theory, be also able to survive and live and reproduce. Although Darwin didn't invent the term survival of the fittest, it is applicable to his theory of evolution. Darwin's theory posits that humans, like all other animals, evolved over a process of millions of years from simple single-celled organisms to multi-celled organisms to human beings. Paleontology studies show us that humans as we exist today, called Homo sapiens, are not the only species of human who have ever lived. Other human species such as Neanderthals or Homo habilis once existed but have since gone extinct. Humans as we exist today are thought to have started evolving 2.5 million years ago, and modern humans with the same basic anatomy as us started to evolve about 200,000 years ago. This question of the origins of human life pits science against religion in a fierce battle for truth. Or does it? We read in Genesis 1 verse 27, "So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them." In the second chapter of Genesis, we find a different creation story from that which we read in Genesis 1. Genesis 2 focuses on people, on humans, on Adam and Eve. Adam is made from the dust of the ground, and Eve is taken from Adam's rib. The question is, can these two very different ideas of how humans came about sit side by side, or are we forced to choose one or the other? Some Christians choose to interpret the Bible literally. Other Christians choose to interpret the Bible in a more symbolic way. Click the link here to see a conversation of what that might look like. Some Christians will outright reject the theory of evolution, stating that the Bible is the Word of God and that therefore anything that contradicts it must be false. Other Christians will fully accept the theory of evolution, saying that the Bible answers the question of why things happened, but doesn't go into how things happened. And still other groups of people will see some sort of ground in the middle. They will recognize that adaptation happens within species, for example, wolves turning into dogs. But they will reject the idea that species evolve from one species to another, for example, a dinosaur turning into a bird. What the theory of evolution does is posit a world that doesn't care. Rather than having some glorified place at the top of creation, evolution says that life is short and bloody and deadly, and the only thing that really matters is passing on of genes. Some Christians will reject evolution because it requires millions and millions of years, whereas the Old Testament genealogies, i.e. the lists of names and dates, point to an earth that is about 6,000 years old. Also, conservative Christians will reject the theory of evolution because it requires many deaths. Millions and millions of life forms must die in order for me to be the creature that I am today. And the traditional Christian understanding that death is as a result of sin is called into question if death happened before Adam and Eve ever arrived. For an extension, research the Natural History Museum in London and the Creation Museum in America. Compare and contrast what you find there. Do questions of the origin of human life matter for how lives are lived at the moment? Can science and religion ever be friends? And what about these different interpretations of the book of Genesis? Is there one correct interpretation? Judge for yourself by watching part 2 of this video.